Creating a garden or landscape to attract birds, butterflies, and other beneficial insects is not only fun and rewarding, but it's also a great way to do your part for growing a greener world. So in this video, I'm going to show you the key considerations to keep in mind when creating your own wildlife-friendly habitat. Certainly, a primary way to attract and keep wildlife around is to provide appropriate food choices. But I'm not talking about supplemental feeders here. Yes, that is a lot of fun to see all the activity, but wildlife depends primarily, indirectly or directly, on plants for their main food, and that's the way it should be. Native plants and trees offer nectar, pollen, seeds, berries, fruit, and nuts that are the best source to provide what your native wildlife depends on all through the year. And those plants also attract the insects that comprise 96% of a bird's diet. The fact is, native plants and wildlife co-evolved over centuries, so it only makes sense that when creating a wildlife-friendly habitat, we provide more of what they really need in the way of native plants. So, if you're looking for options in your zone, reach out to your local county extension service or seek out online sources that will have that information. Water is an essential resource for all life. We know that. But beyond just for drinking, some wildlife depend on it for other things too, such as bathing or breeding. And yet, it's a resource we take for granted all too often. But it's so easy to supplement all throughout the year, even into wintertime. But if you're worried about the water freezing, then you can just get a de-icer to deal with that issue. Or maybe it's mosquitoes that are a concern. In that case, just change out the water every 3 days. That will keep it fresh and clean, which is a good idea anyway, and it will also prevent the mosquito larvae from hatching. And if you are going to provide water, and I hope that you will, do it at different levels other than just the bird bath level, because that will give other wildlife an opportunity to get to that water too, such as rabbits or frogs or turtles and so many others. In a survival of the fittest world, wildlife needs a place to hide from predators and hunt for prey. And all wildlife needs a place to take cover and find shelter in times of bad weather. Adding plants and trees with dense leaves and branching is an easy way to add some extra shelter for our wildlife friends. Brush piles or rock piles are an easy add, or consider adding roosting boxes, which are a great way to keep birds safe and warm in the winter. Shelter also is important for times when wildlife needs a safe place to raise their young. A nesting box will replicate natural nesting cavities found in trees and keep birds out of the elements during those extra important times. Now, even when you provide plenty of native plants and trees and do all those other resources to help the wildlife, if you're spraying toxic chemicals, you're potentially making the entire situation worse than it was. And you might also want to consider reducing the size of your lawn to make room for more native trees and shrubs. And if you'd like more information, there's lots of reliable resources online, including the National Wildlife Federation, the Natural Resources Defense Council, the Xerces Society, and more.